Good afternoon, you're watching LSJ Today. Today's top stories are: hang up, it's not worth a life, a mum's plea after her son was killed by a driver on her phone.
A phone call is not worth a life. It's a petition to make it clear in the law that banning the use of mobile phone calls whilst driving, hands-free or otherwise.
Lincoln City fans face a lifetime ban after flares were set off at a game on Tuesday.
Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn backs his man to win the Sleaford by-election despite the 24,000 Tory majority.
He's the kind of person that ought to be in Parliament speaking up on the issues of housing, of homelessness, of mental health, of health services, of agriculture and transport, and he knows about it as well.
It's big and it's back. Black Friday returns for another year of crazy deals and crazy shoppers.
Hello and welcome to LSJ Today, coming to you live from the University of Lincoln. I'm Rosie Lintott.
And I'm Janine Harding. We have all the news from around the region, but first, today's top story. No phone call is worth a life. That's the message from a Lincolnshire mother whose 7-year-old son was killed after a driver was distracted by a hands-free device. Sam Gilbert has this report.
Alice's husband's 7-year-old son, Seth, was tragically killed in 2014 when a driver was distracted by a hands-free device. Alice believes that her son may have lived had the driver, who was not speeding, not been talking on the phone.
It's a petition to make it clear in the law that banning the use of mobile phone calls whilst driving, hands-free or otherwise, because of the impact upon a driver's concentration whilst driving. It came from, as after my son's death and throughout the process of investigation, it became clear that the latest research points to the fact that using a mobile phone, even hands-free, impacts on your driving as much as being drunk and driving. And therefore, I want to use what happened and the media coverage to try and help save lives.
Alice now has over 20,000 signatures on the petition and has been raising awareness through social media.
It's a lot of people. I'm really pleased with everybody who signed and shared. It has plateaued after the media coverage a couple of weeks ago. It seems that it's not really taken off and gone viral so that people are aware of it and sharing it. And although I'm really pleased with 20,000, I'd really like to get to the 100,000. I've got less than a month now to reach the 100,000 before the petition is no longer valid. And if I get to the 100,000, it means that it actually gets a debate in Parliament.
Over 10,000 drivers have been caught on 2 occasions being distracted whilst driving, and although hands-free sets are legal, police advise against taking any calls whilst driving.
You can, and obviously that does make it legal, so we'd rather people do that, but what we'd really rather people do is think, if I'm getting in the car, I'm not going to have the phone on at all. Even the research will show that even hands-free is distracting enough to stop you having full concentration on the road ahead. So we would recommend not to use it at all, but if you must, then yes, a hands-free kit is the answer.
It's hands-free devices, just like this one, that Alice and many others are so keen to have banned. The government even recognises the danger of these hands-free devices, insisting that the far safer option is to finish your journey before taking any phone calls at all. With harsher penalties expected in 2017 for those drivers caught using their phone whilst on the roads, could we soon see devices just like this one gone for good? Samuel Gilbert, LSJ Today.
A moving story, but will harsher penalties curb drivers using mobile phones? Earlier, I asked John Siddle from the Lincolnshire Road Safety Partnership if getting tough was the answer. So, do you think that there should be a blanket ban on the use of mobile phones, including hands-free, Bluetooth?
Well, in an ideal world, a blanket ban would be great. However, we know that certainly part of the country's economy relies on all that communications from mobile phones. So, whilst we've got handheld illegal, that's fine. The hands-free, what we try to do is just express the message that is just as dangerous as a handheld mobile phone. It's that cognitive distraction that you have in a vehicle.
So when it comes to distractions, so would you say that even banning radios, because I know that they're quite distracting when you're driving, so where would you draw the line when it comes to banning?
Well, I think the line is in place, but what we need to do is manage those distractions. So, we've got in-car distractions, certainly like you said, the radio, but there's out-of-car distractions as well. And if we go back inside, you've got sat-navs and how to use those properly. People are easily distracted within cars, any vehicle for that matter. What they need to do is be looking outside of the vehicle and not be distracted. And it's about management. It's not about blanket bans or sort of the big cosh that sometimes the government does use on drivers. It's about people learning how to do things safely.
When it comes to restrictions as well, how would you ensure that these restrictions are being done? How would you stop people from using their mobile phones?
It's like anything. If you have a law and you don't enforce it, what's the point? So what we need to do is, if we put those measures in place, we need good, firm enforcement. Make sure it's robust and a program to get out there and find these people who are on their mobile phones and fine them accordingly.
Thank you very much for coming with us today.
Latest Lincolnshire crime figures show that antisocial behaviour is still a major problem for the city. Shoplifting and violence are also causing the police concern. Our reporter Naomi Harvey has more.
Latest figures show antisocial behaviour to be the most reported incident taking place in Lincoln. Overall, a total of 290 crimes took place in the city itself in September. However, other surrounding areas are also being recognised as crime hotspots.
Here on Carhome Road, a total of 112 offences were committed in September alone. 46 incidents of antisocial behaviour were also dealt with, as well as reports of criminal damage, arson and sexual offence. Bracebridge Heath, Birchwood and Hartshome are also areas being affected by the crime. But what is being done to reduce these figures?
We patrol regularly, we patrol hotspots of the city, so if we have a particular issue, for example burglary in an area of the city, we will put additional patrols into that area. We'll give crime prevention advice to residents, and obviously we look to try and identify offenders for these offences, because that can reduce the number of offences, particularly when it comes to what we call the critical crimes, so like burglary.
With many of the hotspots such as Carhome Road being so student populated, does this suggest that Lincoln students could be the source of the increase in crime rates?
We do see a slight increase in antisocial behaviour, but I have to say, for the amount of students that are in the city, they don't cause a huge issue with additional crime.
Lincolnshire Police specify how important it is to report a crime or incident to the police so they can put their resources to where the problem is. 999 is the number to call if the crime is happening at the time, and if the incident has just happened, the number to call is 101. Naomi Harvey, LSJ Today, Lincoln.
Hate crime is also on the increase in the UK. Last year saw a 170% increase to nearly 600 offences. Transgender people are among the groups targeted. Last night, in Lincoln, a group held a candlelit vigil for those victims. Aaron Renfrey has more.
Candles were placed, prayers read, and lost lives remembered. Lincoln stood still in silence last night to remember the lives of 295 transgender people who were killed in violent acts this year. Now, transgender people living in Lincoln are fearful that the next death could be somebody that they know.
Each one of those people could have been me in different situations. For thousands who are left off that list either because their deaths were forced by their own hands, or because they were never reported, or in death they were misgendered and forgotten as trans people. Any of those could have been me or anyone like me and my friends.
The service saw many speakers share memories, poems and prayers.
Globally, it is a very big issue. But in Lincolnshire, it's not. It's a very tiny minorities. But we need to keep that. To be aware of these issues.
Now, we don't know exactly how many transgender people there are in Lincolnshire, but a survey in 2012 predicted that at least 1% of the population had started the gender reassignment process. If we apply that 1% to Lincolnshire, there could be as many as 10,000 transgender people in our county. Judith Kent, a spokeswoman for Lincolnshire Police, said targeting someone because of their gender identity can be a hate crime or incident. We take such reports extremely seriously and will always investigate the circumstances and provide or signpost support if required. Aaron Renfrey, LSJ News, Lincoln.
Still to come, a group of University of Lincoln students are helping solve the city's housing problem. And are you ready for Black Friday? It looks like it's going to be busy.
But first, a roundup of some of our other stories from around the region. Lincolnshire residents are being urged to take care when using the county's railway crossings in a new campaign launched by the British Transport Police, urging the public to stay safe when using level crossings. The police will be increasing their patrols and educating the public with leaflets, as nearly 20 people a year are killed on the county's crossings.
Work has resumed on the Lincoln's first purpose-built mosque following a short pause in construction after new contractors were appointed. Building of the £1.5 million development on Dixon Street is set to be completed next year.
And the NSPCC have launched a hotline for sexually abused footballers. The campaign began after a high-profile footballer, including former England player Paul Stewart, Steve Walters and Andy Woodward, revealed they were abused by Crewe Alexandra coach Barry Bennell when they were youngsters at the club. It comes 3 weeks after former Lincolnshire youth football coach Jonathan Bedford was jailed for 11.5 years for a string of sex offences against teenage boys who he met through his involvement with the local youth football.
Reindeer will be walking down Lincoln High Street tonight as part of a Christmas parade. The event will begin at 6 p.m. from St Mark's Shopping Centre and will feature the only herd of caribou in Britain, as well as Santa Claus himself. A study by Cancer Research has found that teenagers drink a bathtub full of sugar drinks a year. That's 234 cans per person. The study comes after the government promised a tax on sugar drinks in England last March. Our reporter Natasha Ireton-Burke has more.
Fanta, Coke and Sprite are just a few of the soft drinks that contain high levels of sugar. The study by Cancer Research looked at data from the 2015 National Diet Survey and found children of all ages consume too much sugar in drinks. The survey suggests preschool children drink the equivalent of nearly 70 cans of fizzy cola. Children aged 4 to 10 drink the equivalent of 110 cans a year, and teenagers drink more than the equivalent of 234 cans each a year.
With drinks being the main source of a teenager's added sugar, it's easy to see why. In this can of Fanta, you'll find 23 grams of sugar. In this can of Dr. Pepper, you'll find 24 grams of sugar. And in this can of Coca-Cola Vanilla, you'll find 35 grams of added sugar.
I don't drink fizzy drinks because I don't like the taste of them.
And why don't you like the taste of them?
I think it's the fizziness of them. I just don't like it.
And could you guess how many grams of sugar in a can of Coke?
Oh, I don't know. 25.
There are 15 grams.
Too much.
In March, the government promised a tax on sugary drinks in England. If this comes into force, the soft drink companies will pay a charge for drinks with added sugar. But will this stop people drinking fizzy drinks? Natasha Ireton-Burke, LSJ Today.
A team of Lincoln students and graduates have launched a business which aims to benefit the homeless. Fresh Rent helps find accommodation for students at universities across the country. Becky Lancashire has more.
For some people, moving to university can be a difficult transition, particularly moving away from home for the first time. But a new business launched by a mix of University of Lincoln students and graduates aims to make that process easier. Fresh Rent, a website search engine, has a network of 50,000 properties across the country.
Fresh Rent is one of the biggest student letting portals in the country. So we basically advertise it as a search engine. So it's like going to Google and saying, I want a 3-bed house in Lincoln. And the main goal of the business is really to get as many letting agencies and as many houses on there as possible, giving the student the biggest selection to choose from. Because we believe that if you have the biggest selection to choose from, you're more likely to choose the correct house for you.
As well as providing easier access for students, the team wanted to find a way to give back to the community at the same time.
Well, I was walking through Lincoln and saw loads of homeless people, and we were doing this project, and we thought it'd be really cool if we could kind of help out those people who are in need as well, and do something which is actually kind of different. And what that is for every group of students we manage to get into accommodation, we actually donate a tent to a homeless person. So then it feels kind of rewarding for those students as well, who could then come to us and go, oh, I want to find a house. They find their perfect house. We're not saying we're giving a homeless person a house, unfortunately, but we're actually saying we're giving something which is a bit better than sleeping on the streets.
Despite starting up only 21 days ago, Fresh Rent has already managed to fill 150 rooms with students across the UK. Using their calculations of 1 tent per house or group of students, this now works out at 37 tents that they'll soon be distributing to those most in need. Becky Lancashire, LSJ Today, Lincoln.
Jeremy Corbyn is confident Labour can overturn one of the biggest Conservative majorities in the upcoming Sleaford and North Wycombe by-election. The leader of the Labour Party paid a visit to Sleaford this week and gave speech to local party activists. He told LSJ News about he was surprised by the resignation of the MP Stephen Phillips.
I was very surprised when Stephen Phillips resigned. He'd shown no signs of that before, and then resigned and has called a by-election. That's a matter for him and the Conservative Party. I'm more interested in getting Jim Clark elected.
Jeremy Corbyn is the first party leader to visit the county. We're also expecting appearances from the Prime Minister Theresa May, Nigel Farage and Tim Farron in the next few weeks. Our political correspondent Jared Johnson has spoken to the candidates.
Campaigning for the by-election in Sleaford and North Wycombe is moving up a gear, now that all the candidates have been confirmed. I spoke to those whose parties are represented in the House of Commons and asked them about their chances of becoming an MP.
People see it as a race between UKIP and the Conservatives. Unfortunately, a vote for any of the other parties will be a waste. If you want true Brexit and want a real deal for Lincolnshire and Sleaford and North Wycombe, it's UKIP.
I think we've got a very good chance, and we've had a very good turnout today at the rally. Why not? Why can't we? I mean, I think the local Conservatives do seem to take people's vote for granted, and it's just, you know, same old thing, no real change, and why not? Let's have a change. Let's mix it up a bit.
Well, I'm the only pro-European candidate standing in this by-election. The rest of the candidates so far have all come out as anti-Europe. So that means that vote that voted for exit are going to be split. If I can harness that 38% of people, there's a possibility, a really good chance that we could actually win this election.
While Dr. Caroline Johnson is the Conservative candidate hoping to replace Stephen Phillips. However, she was unavailable to speak to us. The Conservatives will be confident going into this by-election as they currently hold a 24,000 strong majority. However, in 2016, as we know, with the phenomena of Brexit and of Donald Trump, we can expect the unexpected. Jared Johnson reporting for LSJ Today from Sleaford.
And you can find a full list of candidates running in the election on the LSJ News website.
And now here is Elliot Dalton with the sport.
And we'll start with flares today and the fact that Lincoln City may be being hit with a sizable fine as a result of them. During Tuesday's 4-1 win over York City, this flare was set off by a Lincoln fan in the away end, despite strict rules and regulations banning the use of them at football grounds in the UK. The FA are yet to act on the issue. However, York City FC Police tweeted this after the game. It's a shame a Lincoln City fan felt the need to throw a pyrotechnic onto the ground, and they also tweeted and that the pitch encroachment and the other incidents have been reported to the FA. We contacted Lincoln City on the issue, but they were unavailable to comment. Despite the incident involving the flares, it was actually a very good night for the Imps, who extended their unbeaten run to 12 games with the 4-1 win. Lincoln took the lead after 24 minutes when Elliot Whitehouse, on his first start for the club, latched onto the end of this Nathan Arnold corner. The provider then turned scorer when Arnold powered in this low free kick just after five minutes later to double the Imps' lead. Then Luke Waterfall grabbed his second goal in as many games, and Lincoln's third of the night, reacting quickest when Sam Habigham's free kick became loose in the box. Jan Klukowski then pulled a goal back for the hosts with just 20 minutes remaining. However, Lincoln extended their 3-goal lead, and this stunning solo effort from fullback Bradley Wood ended the rout, giving Lincoln their 4th goal and all 3 points. They're now only 4 points behind leaders Forest Green Rovers, and next face a home clash against Maidstone United on Saturday. Lincoln United are also on an unbeaten streak of their own. A 1-0 victory on Tuesday against Stamford in the Integra League Cup made their run 8 games without a loss in all competitions, and despite the loss of their star striker Jack McGovern to Gainsborough Trinity this week, manager Sam Wilkinson is pleased with his team's progress.
No, I mean, Jack did really well for his early season, and you are going to miss Jack's goals, but at the minute we've actually looked a better team without him. It seems to have worked really hard for each other, and say Jordan's took over from where Jack left off, probably, but doing it better in all fairness. So, of course, we're going to miss him, and he's a great player, but we can't look what we could have had sort of thing. We've got to move forward, and all of a sudden we look a stronger team.
The Whites next face National League North side Kidderminster Harriers in the 3rd qualifying round of the FA Trophy on Saturday. The tie is a big occasion for the club, but after turning over National League North side Nuneaton Town in the FA Cup earlier this season, they don't fear anyone.
It's just a game where we can go there with no real pressure and just try to enjoy the day. There'll be a big crowd there and a good pitch, so we're hoping we can do it, and we believe there is a chance, but it's going to be very difficult.
Lindham Hockey Club men's first team will be hoping to get back to winning ways this weekend when they face Newcastle University at home on Saturday. The side lost 5-2 away to league leaders Didsbury last weekend, but despite that, there were still positives to take from the game, according to captain Sam Temple-Baxter.
Thanks, Elliot. And now for the weather with Jess.
Unfortunately, we can't get to the weather today, but hopefully it will be a lovely day today. And now on to Black Friday. Are you ready for tomorrow? Shops are braced for the mad Black Friday scramble, but will bargain hunters get value for their money?
Black Friday has been known as a free-for-all, but will Lincoln be prepared for the mad rush that may begin tomorrow? Until a few years ago, Black Friday was a tradition exclusive to our friends across the pond. But now UK retailers are getting involved in the American tradition. This year, shoppers are expected to spend an average of £203 each, and overall $3 billion. The day earned its name as it's often the day shops move into black, meaning they have enough money to cover the costs.
Black Friday is one of the days prior to Christmas where there is a massive discounts across retail, both online and in stores. And obviously it generates a lot of interest and a massive footfall into city centres, into retail parks, etc., and all retail units. Black Friday to us is massively busy. We expect that year on year it will improve each year, and it has done in a retail environment. So we expect this year to be even bigger than last year.
We're really glad to be part of it this year. It's getting bigger than ever. Obviously, before Christmas, people get great savings. So, yeah.
I spend almost 10 minutes of every day deleting Black Friday emails from my inbox, so I loathe it. I think being driven excessively to spend online just before Christmas is ridiculous.
I'm in uni all day, so I'll probably do it online. Yeah, do the online ones instead of pushing people aside in the shops.
I'm not a real fan of it, to be honest, especially not charging around a supermarket or something like that. Can't be doing with that, so not really, no. I will just buy my Christmas presents at the last minute as usual.
With more shops participating in Black Friday this year, customers can expect more deals than ever before.
And that's it from us here at LSJ Today. Thank you for joining us. You can catch up with us at social media at LSJ Today Tweets and on Facebook.com LSJ News.
You can also look us up on YouTube and contact us on our website lsjnews.co.uk. See you soon.